So you had a women's retreat. How was that?
I loved it. I was so excited. I did have a lot of anxiety leading up to the retreat because we formed I'm one of the people that kind of leads the retreat or the group. And so we formed a committee, me and the other person, the other lady that helps with the group. We decided I don't want anybody's feelings to get hurt, like they weren't able to be a part of this opportunity, because I really want like people to put their input and stuff.
Right.
So we were like, let's form a committee. So we did have a really strong committee. I think we had about I think there was 5 or 6 of us on the committee. So I felt very supported by them. But besides one other person in the group, I was the only one that had ever like been involved with the youth group retreats and stuff like that. So I was kind of a little bit in charge of everything. Well, not everything, because everybody did really good with their responsibilities, but just like making sure like, oh yeah, well for this, like this is what needs to happen. So I had a lot of anxiety. But I was so blessed by God because the other girl that helps me lead the retreat was like, everything's fine. And I was like, okay, to my storm, God always has to give me somebody to calm me down. Yeah. And she was right. Like, this was not about me. This was not about the committee. This was about everybody just getting together and, like, let's try it. And if it fails, it fails. That's totally fine. And then I was worried because we had it at our convent. And so I was really worried about, like, overstepping with the sisters because they've been so generous to us. And I didn't want to, like, make them feel like they were kicked out of their own home or anything like that, but they just felt like they were our moms. Like, whatever you want, like we'll rearrange the room for you guys. Like, we'll do whatever you need us to do, and it was so sweet. And then one of the retreatants was actually my godmother, and she came in. She's like, Kayla, like registration had barely begun, and she was like, everything's perfect. And I go, okay, we're just having breakfast. Like, calm down. Like, we don't know how this is gonna go. And she was like, how many people do you have? And I was like, oh, I think like 20 people. And she was like, no, with the sisters, with the speakers. And I was like, oh, I think we're capping at like 26. Nice. She's like, I'll be back. She left, and she came back with like fuzzy socks. She's like, it's just so cozy in here. So everybody took off their shoes and put on their fuzzy socks. And even the speakers and the sisters took off their shoes and put on their fuzzy socks. And it was just like so cozy. And the talks were great. And it was exactly like peaceful like I needed it to be. So I felt very blessed. And I had told the committee like afterwards, you know, I was thinking about like next year because we want to make this an annual thing. Yeah. That next year I don't want to do it bigger. Like we were talking about, like renting out the parish center. Like I liked the coziness and the chapel being right there for us, and the talks and the intimacy that the chapel kind of forces you to be in. That the convent forces you to be in. So I was like, well, let's kind of keep capping it at like 20, 25 people max, you know? Yeah. And so I think that's what we're going to do again, because as much as I want to touch like a bunch of women's hearts, like I think there's also the extent where it's like, yeah, maybe a bunch of people went, but like how many people did you shake hands with? How many people did you talk with, you know, and form a community? And I really want us to like be able to form a community. And so I enjoyed it. I was so like, thank you, God. Like it was exactly what I needed, what I wanted. And I came back so refreshed from it. So yeah, I was so happy. Thank you for putting women's group in my heart a couple of years ago.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was for selfish reasons. And by the way, mission failed.
Mission failed. It's okay.
Yeah. She's out there. Somewhere. Anyways, I wanted to do a bunch of things too, but my heart wasn't in it during men's group. But the retreat, how long was it?
It was just a day retreat.
A day retreat? Nice.
I think we had a discerning period of like, what were we going to do? Because like, of course, we would love to do something like up in the mountains or like a 3-day retreat, you know, but part of womanhood is we have women, you know, college students have to get homework done, or me and my other girls who are moms, you know, babies, and so it's like, you know, we have to also draw this line of, this is what we want, but God has also given us vocations and daily tasks we have to take care of, and so it's like we can't push those aside. So like, let's do what we can with the time he's giving us. Yeah. So we just decided a day was great, and it was, because it was so fruitful and it didn't feel crammed.
It's so awesome how in small groups or environments, I felt it more back when I was helping in the youth groups, the leaders retreat. It was always smaller. and it was a 1 day thing, and you had to cram all this information and all these moments, create these moments for them to have that intimacy, not just with amongst themselves, but especially with God.
Yeah.
And like, there's not enough time in the day,
Yeah.
but those are always the best moments. I think some of my favorite moments of those types of retreats are the moments that you didn't even like plan for. For example, like when they would be in the kitchen cooking for lunch, like people start getting out of their shell. Someone that
Right.
nobody was talking to, everybody's talking to them. It's just all
It's
these,
beautiful.
yeah. And then that's when, I mean, obviously the Holy Spirit's always present, especially during like the talks and the intimate
Yeah.
conversations, but it's also through the everyday simple things.
Yeah. And I
And
think that's what I was like. I think that's what I mean. Like going in, I was like, yeah, retreats were like so structured, and I was also coming from like a 3-day retreat perspective, but always on time. You have to always be on time for
yeah,
everything. And so like that's the mentality I was coming in, and my comadre, she was like, chill.
yeah,
Like it is what it is. And she was like so calm, and I was like, you know what? The talks I thought were gonna be like too long, and they ended up being perfect. And like we had time for adoration, which I was like really worried about because I didn't want it to seem like we didn't plan anything and that we
yeah,
were just sticking them in adoration. But it ended up being so fruitful because I was in the pack, and like just seeing people that I knew that needed the retreat like on their knees like made me tear up, because I was like, you know what? Every person was there for a different reason. Like maybe it was community. Maybe they needed to hear one word in that talk. Maybe they don't have a chance to go to adoration because they're so busy all the time. Like we gave them that chance,
yeah,
and it was like everything was planned out perfectly. And I was like, okay, you taught me another lesson. Like stop stressing. Like everything turns out the way you want it to be. But it was so beautiful. Just like I know for myself, adoration is something I always want to do, but it's hard for me to do. And so like that hour, well, we didn't have a full hour. I think we had like 45 minutes, but like those 45 minutes was like so peaceful to me because I was like, finally, like somebody did it for me. Somebody
yeah,
blocked it off and said, no, you're going to adoration.
yeah,
And it made it really nice.
yeah. And we know who that somebody is, right? Scott,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Yeah, and even in the retreats where we think like, or when we see, or they're actively saying, like, especially when I was helping with the teenagers, having 30 to 50 kids, and then you see like their lack of interest, their boredom, they're like,
yeah.
maybe this was a mistake coming here. And you think like, man, like they got nothing from this. Maybe they didn't understand the talk. Maybe if we had better speakers. But then we forget when we see 30 kids go to confession and then 30 kids receive the Eucharist. That's what it's about. So I think any retreat where we involve, obviously it's all about Christ. It's
Yeah.
with our relationship with him. So the time, you're fine. The time that you gave them to spend time with Christ, that's the most valuable of everything.
No, it's so true. And I think I always had this expectation that people have to take like the whole talk has to be so inspirational to them. But I think I've come to the conclusion that maybe it's just one word. Like maybe they just need to hear one word,
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. And their day isn't wasted because they heard that one word that God needed them to hear. And so at the end of the retreat, when we were saying thank yous, like I told them that, like, I don't know if you guys got anything, but like maybe it was a word. Maybe you met somebody new, a new friend. Maybe you got to spend time with Jesus, or you went to mass for the first time in
Yeah.
ages. But like, thank you so much for coming. And I hope that you found that thing that God wanted you to find today, because he brought them there for a reason,
Yeah, very true.
So I loved it, and next year I'm hoping to do it again. And the sisters already want us to do it. They were like, please come again, and like do it in the spring or in the summer, so that way we can do babysitting outside and you guys can have your kids right outside.
is
but like we'll
awesome.
be inside. I love the sisters. They've just become like this, like another mother to
Motherhood, yeah.
like, and I think I've seen that in them, that oh my goodness, all women are called to be mothers,
Yes.
And they just foster this beauty, like, of mothering me by mothering my kids so I can spend time with Jesus. Or when we have our meetings there on Tuesdays, they're like, yeah, like, whatever you need, restrooms here, let us know if you need anything. Like, this room is yours, the chapel is yours. Like, I'm just like, that weight is lifted off me. Like, I'm just, like, taken care of.
When I think about my mom, I think about, Mom, like, I don't feel good. I'm going to make you tea. I'm going to make you soup. It's just like everything that I ever needed.
Comes.
It comes,
just
yeah.
comes.
And that's awesome. And that's actually, I wanted to mention that, like, the reflection of, like, you being a mother of two, right?
Yeah,
I
two.
know. I think I got the first fist bump
Mom
from...
of two. From my oldest?
No, it was
My
the youngest. I think it
youngest.
was the youngest,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Gave me a
she
first.
high fives now.
She's awesome, man. You have such beautiful kids.
Thank you.
The day with the bread, I'm like, hey, come here. And she's like, okay. She's so cute.
They do not know like stranger danger for the
Good.
life of them. I'm like, well, I guess they're.
I mean,
church
keep them
people.
behind the fence, and that's beautiful. You know that they have that innocence.
They're so
and-
talkative.
Yeah.
They just anybody that walks by, they're like, "Hi, hola, hola." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, you're gonna get kidnapped one day. God help me, please." I get so nervous, you know.
And that's good.
But they're friendly. They get it from my dad. They definitely get it from my dad.
Yeah, your dad has been one of the coolest guys, and indirectly helped me out so much through you and Alex. Even Gabe. Now that I like kick it with
Yeah.
him a little bit more, so your guys' family is like an A+
Thank
like
you.
family. So keep
I
it
love
up.
them. I'm
Yeah.
blessed.
Gosh, I had so many things I wanted to say. Well, thank you for your time. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's been fun.
No, during the retreat, you were saying something about the retreat.
Oh, we were talking about mothering. And then you
Mothering.
asked, like the reflection of me as a mom.
Yeah.
What about it?
Like, was it made? No, I mean, you already touched on it, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. And it's the same for the priesthood, right? I think it was through that book, the Be a Man book. No, but it was through that priest. One of his talks, Father Larry Richards, he said, some people question, like, maybe I don't think I'm going to be a priest because I feel called to be a father.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you're called to be, the possibility of being a priest is still there because
Yeah.
they need to be good fathers. And I imagine it's the same with the sisters. I just haven't invested much time in sisters.
No, yeah.
But Sister Jessica called me yesterday too, and I love her so much.
I do too.
The sisters here, they're the best because all they do is just like love, like just
They do. We're so blessed. And I'm always like, I've always been so worried because some of them are older. And I was like, please, God, like, never take them away from us because, like, my
Yeah.
heart will break. Like, never let the head person say, like, oh, we're going to close this one because, it doesn't seem to be bringing in more sisters. Because I go, all these kids at, like, the school and, like, within the
Yeah.
youth groups, like, they just love our two younger sisters and the two older sisters that are with us. Like, they remember like my daughter's names and like my daughters love them, like even though they're not the younger ones or the older ones, like my daughters still love them. Like I feel like there's this natural quality about them that gives them like that grandmother feeling,
Yeah.
like they spoil them when we go to the convent. Like the girls get balloons from them and sweets and grapes, and it's like they're just like the grandmas. They're
yeah.
grandmas. Like they give me that vibe, and I think it's funny because you can't run from the qualities God has given you. Like
Yeah.
as a man, He's given you like that father quality, whether you're a priest or whether you're a dad. And as women, He's given us that mothering quality, like whether you're an actual mom or like a spiritual mom being a sister, like you have that quality. You can't run from it,
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
It is. And have you heard Sister Natalia? You've heard of her, right?
Natalia?
Sister Natalia?
I think so.
All right.
I'm not good with faces, like in names. I gotta see them.
She's famous. She goes to like Panto Aquinas a lot.
Okay.
Black Habit.
Yes. I do.
remember one time when they were asking her questions about like, does it hurt that like you're never gonna have kids and do that? And she said every day, And I really appreciated her transparency because that just because that's your vocation doesn't mean that there's a yearning still there,
Yeah.
And the fact that they're in a community here, it makes me happy to understand. Like, you guys are young adults, and then there's even younger adults than you guys.
Right.
And then the teenagers and kids. So they do have that opportunity to be the moms that they yearn for. And it goes to show how much God provides.
Yeah.
In any aspect that you pick. Like, we think that, like, well, I'm going to give so much up. And at least for me, my lack of trust in Him all the time of, like, but what do I gain if I follow what you have in store for me?
I kind of always saw it like, I mean, I know there's different orders, and I think that's where you get to choose, like, how much you want to be involved.
Right.
But with the Sisters of the Immaculate Conception, like, their mission is to serve, like, in schools and, like, with the community. Like, that's their point. And I remember my mom telling me, like, when I was little, like, yeah, they don't get to have biological children. I mean, I'm not speaking for them, but look at, like, all the children they've gained. Like, they get to mother, like, how many kids at the school and how many kids at the parish. But it's up to us now as parents to let them mother. Like, we have to, like, give them the opportunity to do what their heart desires, And I don't want to take that from them and, like, I trust them so much, you know? So it's like, yeah, of course, watch my kids while I go do this. And yeah, of course, play with them. And they remember their names because, like, they see that as their kid because that's their mission. And that's so beautiful. And I'm like, just, like, let them mother you. Like, that's all they want to do.
Yeah.
But you have to let them, you know? Yeah.
Being such a young mother, how old were you when you became a mom?
I was 20 when I got pregnant with my first, and I had her at 21.
And you got married at 9?
I got engaged at 19, married at 20.
9. You guys wasted no time, huh?
Yeah, wasted no time. I was like, let's go. I want 30 million kids now.
30 million kids. You know, me being in my mid-30s, going on the dating scene single.
Yeah.
A lot of women are afraid to get married and to start families. I honestly think, if I'm being honest with myself, is I haven't given them enough reassurance that I'm a good man to marry or, like, you know, have their kids.
Yeah.
I have Mia and I'm awesome with Mia, but at the same time, it's just like I still need to provide them reassurance, you know? And I think every man does to any woman that would want to get married to them that, yes, I feel safe with him. I feel like he knows what he's doing. I feel like he's not iffy about this, which makes me feel iffy. So what do you say to a lot of women that they say, like, don't get married so young, don't have so many kids? Because if you have anything to say, or maybe not even them, just your experience when getting engaged, married, and
like, you're missing
kids.
out. My path is not for everybody's path. Is it not going to be everybody's path? You know? And I have had to come to that conclusion because I'm like, everybody get married young, you know?
Yeah.
But I've also realized, like, that's what God had for me. But I think my new mission is telling people, like, if that is your mission, don't be afraid. Like, fall into it. Like, there's so much beauty in it. And when you find that person that lets you be secure in yourself and just be, like, more feminine and more graceful, it's like, why are you going to put it off? Why are you going to tell them no? Like, there's no better feeling than being a wife and a mom. Like, I no longer have to. I went from my dad taking care of me, you know, to who is so secure and such an awesome person. I love my dad. To now my husband does. Like, nowhere was I having to care for myself, you know? And that's been such a blessing to me because I know that's not everybody's story. But it's like, if you have the opportunity for a good man to take care of you, like, let him take care of you. Let him just take you into his arms, and, like, he worries about everything. And you get to, like, I don't know, you get to be like that graceful, beautiful girl running through the daisies that you see. You know, like, that's how I feel. Like, he just lifts all the weight off my shoulders. And I think that we don't highlight the beauty of it enough in society. Like, they view marriage now as like a trap. Like, you're trapped, you know? Like, it's so sad. You can't do anything. But I'm like, you don't understand the freedom. I don't know if they weren't in the right relationship, maybe, and that's what's giving them the perspective. But when you're in the right relationship, I promise you, your perspective is that you're running through daisies because you feel very secure, you know? You just feel like, oh, this is what a woman is supposed to feel like. Like, I don't have to worry about anything, and my husband gets to take care of me, and he's listening to God, and he's a godly man, so I know we're on the right track, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And I think society does a horrible job at telling women, like, it's just a beautiful vocation. And with the feminist movement now, motherhood is just, like, totally slaughtered, and being a young mom is, like, 10 times worse, you know? Like, you've given up on your dreams, and you've given up on your whole life, and now you're taking care of a baby. And my life, like, started when I got married, and it got even, like, better when I had a baby, you know, like, despite being in college.
Excuse me.
I think that being in college and having my baby was one of the best accomplishments I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty baller. I haven't. I've never been pregnant with a baby, and I'm still in college. Still can't seem to pass.
You'll get there, I promise.
Maybe I just need to get pregnant.
Maybe you need to get pregnant, and then and then you'll figure it out. I promise. It's that easy.
I wish we had a third camera for that, man.
Right? The whole time. Oh my gosh. No, but that's exactly. I don't know. That's how I feel when I graduated. Roe v. Wade was overturned while I was in college, and I remember Michelle Obama put out, like, a post that said, congratulations. Like, basically, like, women have just forfeited their futures. You know, like, they can't do it. And it broke my heart. And I try not to get, like, too political, posting, like, the leftist agendas are my thing and then arguing it. Because I just don't want to get into arguments, you know?
Yeah.
But that one I did because it, like, struck a nerve in me. Because so many little girls look up to her and they think she's like the boss babe, you know? Like, she's so awesome. And it struck a nerve because I was like, I'm doing it. Like, and I'm fine. And I'm actually, like, better than fine. Because when I graduate, like, not only do I get to tell people, like, I got my bachelor's degree, but I get to tell them I got my bachelor's degree while having, like, I think she was 7 months and I was pregnant. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I am married. And you just told all those girls that look up to you, like, you suck. You can't do it.
Your life away, yeah.
And I was like, how is it that in the world you tell them, like, yeah, you can be a CEO and you can own your own business and you can get your master's degree. But when it comes to, like, oh, yeah, you can be a mom and you can go to college and you can have a baby, it's like, no, that's impossible. You can't do that. That's ruining your life. I was like, why can you do all that, but you can't do this? Like, it doesn't make sense to me in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing better than when I walked across that stage and I got to look back at my little girl and she was in the stands when I got my degree. Like, that was one of the best feelings ever in my entire life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love it. I was so happy that I did it. I don't regret doing it. I think the time I spent away from her was really hard. I think that there's sacrifices that have to be made when you decide to go down that path, you know?
Yeah.
Because I regret being away from her, but I don't regret what I did during my time away from her, if those two can coexist. Like, you know? Because I wasn't out partying. I wasn't out being, like, a bad mom, you know? I was getting my degree in case, Lord forbid, my husband dies. Like, I can provide for my kids for a little bit, you know? So I don't regret what I did away from my daughter. I regret being away from her, but I don't regret what I did. So it was just such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were working at the time, right?
And I was working. So I was working full-time. I was a full-time college student, full-time wife, full-time mom. Yeah.
Look at you, man.
And then I was pregnant.
I'm probably going to give you that comic book for Superman.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Looking back, people ask me, like, how did you do it? I don't recommend it. Like, I think if I could go back, I would have decided I'm going to drop out of state college and do, like, a private online college to spend more time on I think I would do it differently, you know, than I did now. I don't think I would give myself this strict timeline of, like, the 4 years. I think I would be like, it's okay if you did 5, you know? But I had high standards for myself.
Yeah.
So I think take your time, like, if you're doing it, you know? But, like, don't let them say you can't do it. Like, you don't even know if you can. Like, try it. And if you can't do it, then, yeah, you can drop out. You can go back later. But you're telling yourself you can't before you've even tried.
Yeah.
And that's like with anything in life. You don't do that. Why is motherhood and school any different?
Very true.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. When one of the things that I come across a lot, being a bachelor, is
the whole podcast is gonna be us looking at the camera.
I know, right? No, it's the whole, like, I want everything to be good and the lack of sacrifice I'm willing to do to be in a relationship. And some things that we have to give up, some things that for the sake of the relationship and the family. And a lot. Maybe it's just California. It's just like one kid or no kids. And I'm just like, I want them all, you know? It's just like, what's the matter? Because in my mind, I'm very much okay with having kids. Maybe I have to work 2 jobs. It's going to be tough. I'm not going to be there at first. It's always striving to go up, you know? But I don't see that as something difficult, because one of the best things in my life is Mia. And Mia's afraid of me having more kids because she doesn't think I can give my love to multiple people. But I'm like, you know, I give my love half of the month. Half of the month is yours. You know, it's like so, like, I'm pretty sure I can simultaneously give love to everybody and be there to everybody. I don't think you need to worry about that. And I think a lot of people think that, like, how am I going to give so much attention to 6 kids? They're going to be forgotten. Well, they're also going to have each other too.
Yeah.
You know, and this is why traditional thing roles are very important, where the man goes to work and the woman stays home.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is how it should be for or works
No,
for
yeah.
everybody, but this is ideally what it was meant to be.
I think there's beauty in the traditional roles, like so much beauty of the time, And when it comes to like having multiple kids, I think each kid is a blessing. Each kid is a gift from God. And I told somebody like if each child is a gift from God, you're gonna tell God like, no, I don't want your gift. Like, who do you tell
Yeah.
that to? Like when they have it all pretty and wrapped up in a bow, like, no, I don't want your gift. Like you always accept a gift,
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful, and that's each child, and your heart grows. Like I didn't know how I was gonna love two kids. Like I love my oldest so much, I do. Like, and when I had my second, I was so nervous because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna love her as much as I love my first. But then it just opens, and then like as their personality develops, your love just continues to grow. And if you ask God for time for each child, He will give you time for each
Yeah.
child. You might be tired, but like He will. And He's given it to me like, okay, God, I don't feel like I'm spending enough time with my youngest, And well, now my youngest doesn't nap when my oldest naps, but it's okay because instead of me napping or reading a book or scrolling on my phone, I get that one on one time with her.
Yeah.
And now my youngest is napping in the morning, so it's me and my oldest out time. It's just me and her outside playing. So if you want that one on one time, ask for it and He will grant it to you. You'll be tired, but you know what? Like you could sleep like later, I promise. Like you will be able to sleep later.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that joy of getting the one-on-one time with each of them and watching them grow and laugh with you and creating memories that's going to last in your heart forever. It's beautiful. I love it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change it. I can't wait till I have more because, yeah, they do have each other. And watching the love between siblings is beautiful. I love my brothers and sister like so much. And I love my in-laws now too. Like they're my siblings. And so seeing that now as a parent, like my oldest hug my youngest like so much to where they're laughing and
Melts your
falling on
heart.
the floor, it melts me.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, please never change. Like, please don't fight. Like, please, like when you're older, like love each other like this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have multiple kids, but
Mm-hmm.
you saying that makes me think about how my mom would get so upset when me and my brothers would be fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Because like she's all like, you guys loved each other at one point. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, yeah. And I know that things will happen. Like, I have to brace myself. And it's two girls.
Yeah.
My
Especially if
worst
they're the
fear.
same shirts, clothes size.
Oh my goodness, same clothes size. They're so close together. I'm worried that they're gonna like the same boys. And I'm like, goodness, please have different types because I'm not gonna deal with boy fights.
Yeah.
But like, that's my fear. But I know fights will come. But like seeing this always will help me reassure them. Like, no, they don't hate each other. They're just going through a phase. They love each other.
Yeah.
I know that they love each other. And there's so much goodness in them.
Yeah. And
So much goodness.
another thing from motherhood, I forgot who I talked this. It doesn't matter. Go back to episode whatever. Father Ripperger said that a mom's role is so important and that they get 10 times more pleasure speaking than men do, but it's a perfection, not something that we say like it's a nagging thing. No, it's a perfection because it's meant for your children.
Yeah.
It's meant for you to speak to your children so they grow up, so their brains develop, so they absorb as much as possible. And when both parents are working and someone else is taking care of your kids, well, first of all, you don't know how they're taking care of them.
Right.
They can appear to be one way, but it could be another way. Yes, grandparents are awesome, but they're not the parents.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one thing. I listened to the Lila Rose podcast. She had a doctor on there. I don't remember who it is, but it like broke me. That's when I started staying home, and I had all this regret because she said that each time you leave your infant child, they in their head correlate it with the same emotions as you just died.
No way.
Yeah. And so it broke me because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to cry. I was leaving my kid, with my parents or with my in-laws because I went to school or I went to work. That was the place that we were in. But I was like, each time I left my child, like, she thought mom died. Like, that's how the infant's brain works. And I was like, that's just so
forever,
depressing. Yeah. Like, she thinks I'm dead. And then I come back and then I do it all over to her the next day. And that's where I have that regret of like leaving my daughter because I felt horrible. Like, oh my goodness, the emotions that I put you through,
Yeah.
But I am grateful for like my parents and my in-laws so much for taking like that step and being able to help me complete school and work when we needed me to work.
Yeah.
But I think I would encourage all young moms or any mom like look at what it does to your kid, you know, like look at the side effects and like you might have to make a lot of sacrifices, but it's so worth it not to put your poor children through that turmoil every single day, you know? Because I regret doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
that's so hard.
It is. It is. And, I asked Mia, I'm like, I had her on the podcast. I think she was episode 6 or 7.
So cute.
I know. I think I asked her, were you there? You were there, huh? Like, has me and your mom being divorced affected you at all?
Aww.
And I think her response was, gosh, I'm a bad dad. I completely forgot. I think it was no. She says, some things just happen that way. I forget her answers. Go back to the episode. But it was a for sure no because I've asked her in the past.
He thinks the answer was no. What's the answer?
It is,
yes.
dude.
Cut that out.
No, leave it in.
That's not funny to joke about. I still feel bad, but
fine. No, but I'm reassured because when she sees pictures of me and her mom, she's like, "That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, how were you two ever together?" Not that there's anything wrong with her mom, but yeah, these traumas, although they're there.
Well, and you guys split up when she was a lot younger,
2.
right?
She was 2. Yeah,
she doesn't really have a lot of memories of you guys together.
Yeah, but there was moments where she was with me. Mm-hmm. And this would like bring me to tears every single time for like the first couple months.
Yeah.
All right, mate, time to go to your mom. No, crying and like not wanting to let me go. And I'm just like, I can't, there's no possible way I can explain this to her.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is just have you here the whole time, but you also need your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that was really rough. Luckily, she was so young. She doesn't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
She remembers, I think her first memory is when I really yelled at her when she was like 4.
That's so sad. That's her first memory.
No, I'm sure it's not. I need to ask her.
Mia, do you
Episode
have
11. Mia, what's your first memory?
What's your first memory? Blink twice if it was your dad yelling at you.
Dude, I don't know if you've had that moment yet where you kind of just snap at them. But okay, I'm gonna confession time, okay? And this is one of the worst things I've ever done. Me and my ex-wife, we were kind of bickering. I was calling a credit card company. I think we needed to make a payment, and this is before apps and internet were or at least we didn't know how to use them. So I was on the phone right here, and I had it right there. My head was down. I was just frustrated, and I've been on hold for 15 minutes. They answer, "Hi, how can I?" Mia puts her hand on the table. Hangs up.
Aww.
First reaction, arm, try to spank her. She throws herself down. I hit her in her back.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, and that was the last time I hit her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last time I yelled at her was when she was 4, and I kind of saw how broken she was.
It's so hard because we're only human too as parents, you know? I feel like that's... And you don't mean it. You're not an abusive parent, you know? But it's like...
Thank you for stating that.
You're not an abusive parent. He's not an abusive parent. But it's those moments where you snap. You're human. You're not perfect, you know? I've had so many moments where, you know, and then I have to attribute it. Like, I have, you know, with postpartum, you have hormones. And it's actually a thing. Like, you can get postpartum rage, you know? Like, there's just so many instances where I'm like, okay, like, don't do that. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, you know, and then you snap. And it's like...
I think Christian's felt that.
It's like, that's not me. You know, like, I know that's not me. And I know it's my hormones. But it's like, I'm only human. And, like, the amount of times I've gone to confession telling Father, like, I'm just mad. Like, I'm mad. And I take it out on my husband. I take it out on my daughter, you know, and I'm just mad. And he's like, but, you know, it's like your hormones. You know, like, this is who you are. And I know because I've done the research. But... I just have to, like, get back up, and every single time I'm like, Mother Mary, be a mother to me now. Mother Mary, be a mother to me now. Like, that's my prayer because I don't like it when I snap, and I don't want that to be, like, my first memory that, you know, my daughter has of me is, like, Mom snapped on me, you know? But it's like, okay. And then being able to humble myself and, like, I cool down, she cools down, and then I, like, Mommy, sorry. You know, like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I was mad because you didn't listen to me, but that doesn't justify me yelling at you, you know? So I'm like, I'm very sorry. And I give her a hug.
And you're explaining this to a 1-year-old.
I'm explaining this to a 1-year-old, you know? But I think it's also because I see so much of my traits in her. And she's already, you know, she's only 2. Yeah. But I'm like seeing these traits in her that I'm like, oh my gosh, I do that. Like when she gets like, when either like a baby's like too cute like her sister, or she gets frustrated because somebody's not stopping, she goes like she grind like she what is it like she clenches her teeth.
Yeah.
She like will shake like a little bit, you know. And I realized like, oh my goodness, I do that when I see a cute baby. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Like, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I do that. Like that's my treat. She's getting that from me.
Yeah.
So then it clicked. I'm like, if I'm doing these bad habits because I'm only human, you know, and I'm postpartum and I'm trying to be a better mom. But if I'm doing these, like, I need to show her, like, there's also a way that you correct it when you're done, when you've realized that you've made a mistake. Because you're picking up on these habits. I know you can pick up on the apology that happens afterwards, you know? So that's what I'm trying to drill into her. It's like, you know, when you've cooled down, when you've come to the realization that, oh, I did something wrong, because we don't always realize that we did something wrong as adults, you know, until like a couple days later. It's like,
no, we don't realize we did something wrong, and we stick to our guns.
And we stick to our guns,
We're right. They were wrong.
Or it's like we take several days to figure out we're wrong, and then we come back with, I'm sorry, you know?
You know, if we don't let our ego get in our way.
Exactly. And so it's like, I need to teach her. She has why am I disciplining her if she has the same emotions I have? If I don't want to admit when I'm wrong, you know? So we're learning together. Yeah. I'm only 23. In a way, like, I am growing up with my daughter, you know? And so I want to teach her, like, this is what we do, you know? Like, when you're ready, when you've cooled down, like, let's come talk. Like, let's figure this out. Let's apologize. Yeah. Postpartum rage is bad.
Yeah.
But I want to be better. And I have respect for my mom friends that have been like, you know what? I realized this trait in myself. Like, I have to stop. This is the only way I'll discipline because I don't want to hurt them or I don't want to yell at them. It's like I have mad respect for them because, yeah, you want to make sure that when we discipline our child, it's not out of anger. It's literally out of, like, love.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure you're doing that. And so it's like never discipline in the moment if you can't discipline in the moment.
Yeah. And, you know, me living...
I'm an expert, guys.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You know,
23 years old.
23 years, 2 kids.
No teenagers yet.
It's great. I'm an expert. Come talk to me. No.
If your teenager has a problem, bring him my way.
Bring him my way. I'm horrible with teenagers. Lord help me when my kids become teenagers.
Oh, you'll be fine by then. Because you know what? You're going to have 12 years of practice before that.
Is this a coaster, by the way?
It is a coaster.
Okay. I'll leave it there. Now it looks aesthetically pleasing in the video. Sorry, guys.
Can we restart the entire...
The whole podcast needs to be restarted just so the cup
coaster
can be on the coaster.
I was going to offer you a drink, but I don't want to get your baby drunk.
It's okay. I don't think that's how... You can have a drink.
Really?
You can have one drink.
Just one?
The Hispanic culture is very strict. Like, you can't have any. Make it make sense. They go, you can't drink when you're pregnant. It'll get to the breast milk. Here, have a beer. It helps with your breast milk.
Huh?
What? Like, bro, that's alcohol.
A drink, not
drinks,
a beer. Not drinks.
You can have several beers. I guess
you can have several drinks, not a drink.
I can have a drink. One drink. So you can actually have one drink. Can you just measure it out with water?
Yeah, I guess.
It takes a while. It's basically the equivalent of, like, what happens to like your bloodstream. How much alcohol gets into your bloodstream, and like when that is able to be like red or whatever. It's the same thing with breast milk. Like, that's how much gets into your breast milk.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you, like, really don't have to worry. So, like, I usually cap it, like, at one drink. But not because I'm worried about getting into my breast milk, because after one drink, I tend to get really tired. And then I got to wake up with an infant in the middle of the night. It's not
you got to push through that tiredness, because the next level is pretty cool.
My 23rd birthday was my first birthday where I could drink on my birthday.
Yeah.
Because I was pregnant when I turned 21. I was pregnant when I turned 22.
Goodness, yeah.
So I turned 23, and I was breastfeeding, so I wasn't gonna get drunk.
You're
like, you know? I was like, I think I had like 3 drinks, maybe 4. I wasn't drunk, but man, I get tired very easily with alcohol. Like, I get tired.
It's
so
just a relaxing.
That night was horrible because my baby kept waking up because she was teething. It's like, this sucks. I was like, I never want to do this again because I'm so tired. I kept having to wake up, and it was alcohol. I learned my lesson. One drink, I'm capping. Alcohol. Capping it at 1 drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liquor's awesome.
I'm not like...
One thing I was going to mention, we can get back to liquor before I just forget this thought. I remember there's this one time, I think Mia was like 3 years old. It was still soon. I had come back to Christ because during my marriage, I'm like, peace out, God. I got it from here.
Yeah.
And then once it ruined, I'm like, God, why'd you allow to?
Yeah.
Just like a kid throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there's this one time the Eucharist was being consecrated. And something hit me. Like I understood a, a fraction of God's love.
Yep.
Because I had Mia in my arms. I was on my knees watching it. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can love anything else. And then I looked at, this is my body,
Yeah.
giving up for it. And I was just like, whoa, like, if
Yeah.
I have this much love for a person and I am so flawed and I don't know how to love correctly, like,
Yeah.
how much love do you have for me?
Yeah. It's beautiful. I think this whole podcast is going to be on motherhood. Your listeners might be sick of it. But
Not the moms.
I'm a C-section mom. So I've had 2 C-sections.
Mia came out C-section too. She's
Yeah.
all like, hey, Dad, check this out.
They weren't birthed. They were evacuated. What is it? They got
emergency.
The what is it when they kick you out of your house?
They got evicted.
They got evicted. They were evicted. I struggle a lot. Oh,
don't worry about it.
I
That's
struggle
my
a lot.
handiwork.
I struggle a lot with the C-section. It's just emotionally, it's a lot for me. That's my battle. But something that has been really powerful is, connecting myself with that Eucharist and with the cross, because you're lying there on the operating table and I was tied down. This is not everybody's circumstance, but I was tied down because I was shaking too much. So they tied my arms down and I was literally like in the cross shape.
That is.
And then
Whoa.
you're cut, and you have this scar for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, this is my body, like, given for you.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. It's still hard. It doesn't make it, like, any easier, but it is something beautiful that I get to be connected to Jesus and the cross in that way. Like, he gave his life for all of salvation, like, I gave my body for, like, 2 babies. So hopefully more in the future, But getting to experience something like that made me realize, like, wow, this is really, like, I love my child so much. My worst fear was having the C-section, but I'll do anything to get you here safely onto this earth, right beside me. And it's like, that's God. Like, I'll do anything for you. I want you right here beside me in heaven. Like, I'll die on the cross for you. Yeah. And it was like, wow, like,
you got to have a little piece
of that. Yeah. And I think we can find those spots a lot in, parenthood, if we allow ourselves to look at them like that, like how much sacrifice we give. But you have to, like, look. I think a lot of times, like, oh, I did this and I did this and I did this, daily. And I get it. Being a parent is really hard. But then when you reel it back and you're like, wow, I did this. I sacrificed this part of my life for you. Whether it's a dad who slaves all day at work, to provide for his child. Or whether it's a mom that, cooks and cleans 24/7 and never stops just to give her child, like, a beautiful home, Yeah. I think that we just have to realize, like, wow, there's so many opportunities in our day where God allows us to be connected to him and experience just a sliver of what he got to experience. And it's beautiful, that sacrificial love. I love it.
It is the most difficult and beautiful thing that one can do. And you have those emotions at the same time. It's like, it's not a second thought. It's like, I'm going to do this, And I'm going to do this because I love you so much. Yeah. But it's scary and it hurts.
It's so scary. Yeah.
And I'm sorry for everybody if you guys hear the background of the dishes. My dad's a little deaf and he's putting dishes away and the kitchen's on the other side of this wall. But
it's fine. Yeah. I think that was something that helped me get through the C-section was when you hear, like, with my oldest, it was, well, her heart rate is dropping. And it was like, I was so emotional, but I was like, do it.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm sorry. It's just the same thing happened with Mia. Yeah. That they called me on the intercom. I was having a breakfast burrito.
You're like chilling in
No,
the
because
cafeteria?
I was there the whole night. I was right by my wife's side. They were waiting for her to dilate, but they messed up. So hard
for you.
Because you have no idea how they were waiting for her to dilate because she wasn't dilating. Apparently, she was already dilated, and so they were gonna extract. I believe that's the word, but they were gonna. She was already good to go. So, anyways,
what hospital was this? Can't say.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that hospital.
I didn't know. The burritos are delicious, but because I was like, did they say my name? And then I'm like, probably not. And then they're like, Diego, come into the emergency room. I'm like, damn. I remember like running.
That's
and
hilarious that they
finishing
called you
to-
on the intercom. I don't know they did that.
Yeah.
I thought they were just like, he's not here. Sorry, sweetie.
Like, and then I get there. I'm not religious at this point. I had left the faith
Yeah.
to be my own man. And
Look
and a
where he's
pastor
at
was
now,
there.
a Catholic podcast.
And the pastor was like, "Do you want to pray?" I'm like, "No, I know God's got me." Like so arrogant, right? And then I got it, but I was so calm. I was so calm. I got into my scrubs, and then I got to be there by my wife. They had the sheets up, and I was just like, I threw away half that burrito. No, I'm kidding.
Really?
No, I was just, I don't know. I felt this calm. I held her hand.
Yeah.
I remembered like it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to look like the whole. I've seen Scream, you know. I've seen Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen all those movies.
No.
Saw, but no, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I was there with her, and holding her hand, and then.
It's
and I'm
crazy
just
how
like,
fast it
"No."
is. It's
It
very
just
fast.
Melts my heart the moment I heard Mia's cry. But yeah,
Sergio
it was
stood
like
up
this.
and wanted to take pictures.
Yeah.
And so he has the pictures of like my intestines like out.
See, I
And he's
wanted
like, "Do you
something.
guys want to see it?" Like to my brothers. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, don't." Then he goes, "Do you want to see it?" No, I lived it. I don't need to see it.
I
you know?
have that.
I have it. It's fine. I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
But that sacrifice, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And
And sacrifices that go after the C-sections are really hard. I mean, granted, I've never had like a natural birth, so I know that that's hard. But relating to other C-section moms, like it's very difficult because you don't have you don't have like oxytocin, which is like a hormone that floods through your bloodstream. It helps you connect with your baby.
oh,
So that naturally, it starts with childbirth, right? When you start to have contractions and everything, and like you start going into birth naturally, it happens. Well, with C-sections, you don't have that because you're evicting the baby. So bonding with my babies were really hard after that because
really?
I didn't have that like connection. It's kind of like you feel, like, I'm gonna feel like a bad mom. It's kind of like you just like, oh my gosh, like this is a baby and it's my baby and I love this baby.
Yeah.
And what just happened? Something was ripped from out of me. Like that was growing in you for 9 months. So you like become attached to this and then it's just evicted and then you're like, there's no hormones, there's no nothing. So learning that with my first was something that helped me with the guidance of my godmother who's had 8 C-sections.
Yeah.
Going into that second C-section, I learned like, okay, this is what I need to do. So like that whole night, it's like, she's mine. She's on me. I don't remember
what's
letting
it called? The skin to
skin to skin.
Yeah.
I don't remember letting Sergio touch her. I don't think I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe when I got up, maybe. But that first night, it was like, no, she's mine. She's on me the whole time. The nurses were like, safe sleep, like you're not allowed to sleep with her on your chest. And they would come in and I'd be like, no, I'm awake. They're like, honey, you need to rest. Like, put her back in your bassinet. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Thank you. They'd leave and I'd like crash out with her like, on my chest, But it was so important. Like, she needs to be on me because I need to smell her. I need to know, like, this is my kid. Because I want to connect with my baby. But then, like, breastfeeding is so hard because those hormones aren't flowing like natural birth is. So
that actually explains a lot from
now for
me as birth and everything because interesting.
It's very, very different. And I think it leaves a lot of women questioning, like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I don't feel connected to my baby. But it's like, if I could just touch them on the shoulder and be like, it's not you. Like, this is like science. Like, this is just like, it's just different, Yeah. But it's like, I think there are things you can do. Skin to skin definitely helped. Made me feel a little bit closer to her. But it's definitely like, baby wearing. I had to wear her 24/7 because I want to feel connected with her, like any mom does. But I felt like there was something seriously wrong with me. Like, all these moms are always like, I love my baby. And I'm just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And now there's a kid and I have to go home with this kid. It's so weird. C-sections are wild.
Yeah.
But that sacrifice that comes afterwards of still like trying to put those emotions aside and care for this kid, and like
Yeah.
and then getting over, like, I have so much anxiety when it comes to C-section, and like that was horrible, and it's just a lot. But the sacrifices that you make as a parent are beautiful.
Apparently beautiful.
Apparently beautiful. I look back and
you look back in fondness, right?
and fondness.
Yeah.
Like, and wow, God, thank you for giving me the opportunity to sacrifice myself. Doesn't always make it easy. I'm sure dying on the cross wasn't easy, you know? Like, looking back, I still have so many questions. Why? But I am grateful that I had the opportunity to sacrifice and offer something up for my kids and their sanctification, you know?
Wow.
So,
You mentioned Mary earlier. Has she been a big role in your whole marriage, being a mother?
I love Mary. I love Mary so
She's
much.
the best. The reason I have big ears is because every time I leave the church, that's how I get back.
She's like, no, come back.
Yep.
You're going too soon. I love her so much. I look at her. I think I have these moments where I look at her and I'm like, I'm failing as mom because you're so perfect and I'm nothing like you.
Yeah.
But then my prayer is always, let me be like you. Like, I want to be like you. Like, these virtues that you had. Last pregnancy was a blessing because my daughter was born the day after Christmas. So I really got to journey through Advent with Mary. And that was really, really special. Because I had a lot of questions, you know, like, why with the C-section, why this, why that. And then I kind of slowed down and was like, you know what? I get to be like Mary. I don't know if this baby's going to come naturally or if I'm going to have a C-section. Like, what's going to happen? She didn't know when Jesus was coming, you know? So I got to journey through Advent with Mary. Same thing, pregnancy, you know? She's such an inspiration to me. And I look at the virtues that she possesses, just like the beauty and the grace and this elegance. And it's everything that a woman should be. I don't know if you ever read the book Anti-Mary.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of it? It's
I haven't.
a phenomenal book. I highly recommend it. It talks about how the feminist movement today is literally the embodiment of what an anti-Mary would be.
Whoa.
So it talks a lot about that and a lot about demonic spirits like Lilith. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lilith.
That supposedly she was the first one that was created. Well,
That's
folk
like
story,
that's
but
like
she
the
is a demon.
folklore.
Yeah,
But she is a demon.
Yeah.
Like, there have been cases where people are possessed and they're like, "What is your name?" And it's like Lilith. So like that's an actual demon's name. But that book is really, that's what was one of the first things that kind of opened my eyes, like how amazing she is. Like, everything that the feminist movement is, she is literally the opposite. And I find that so beautiful. You know, the modesty that she brings, the humility, the patience, you know, the fact that Mary, we only have it's 2 records of her speaking in the Bible. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think it's 1 or 2.
I think it's in the Annunciation and at the wedding, right?
Yeah, so
those
then
are
2.
the only ones I can think of.
2 times where she spoke in the Bible. So a woman of very few words. And it's like, then you look at all these feminists and they're rioting, you know, and they're marching the streets. And it's like, no, she just shows, like, with patience and humility and quiet, meek, and humbleness. Like, there's so much power in that. And she became the mother of God. You know, like, these women marching in their pink hats, like, they have so much power. And she shows, like, what true femininity is and what blessings can come from being meek and humble. And I think that's so beautiful. She's part of the reason why I started veiling at church. Like, when I put on a veil for the first time, I've been going off and on veiling since I was like, I want to say like 8th grade. But then, like, once I got married, I really decided, like, you know what? I'm going to start again. And I think she gave me, like, these graces just to feel like putting the veil on, like, wow, this is, like, I feel so beautiful. Like, I feel like a woman, like, with my veil on in church. And the only time that you wear a veil is on your wedding day, you know? So it's like every single Sunday, I get to wear a veil. And I get to go to church and I get to meet my first love, God. And she's one of the reasons, like, I started veiling. And I get to see, like, wow, like, it is beautiful, Mary. Like, it's so beautiful. I just love her. And I do ask for her patience. Like, be a mother to me now, kind of like the sisters, you know?
Yeah.
Mother me so I can mother my kids better. So I can be a better wife to my husband. Let me find peace in you so that way I can give peace to other people. Fill my cup so I can fill theirs. So I just find so much beauty in her, and I wish, like, man, after I like bow and give Jesus hugs,
Yeah.
if I get to heaven, please let me get to heaven. You know, like I'm gonna be bolting to her. Like I just want to sit at her feet and ask her so many questions. And what was it like? Like what was the birth like? What was it like cooking for Joseph, like when he came home, you know, and like watching Jesus grow up and take his first steps. Like I want to know everything like that. And there's this connection as women that we get to have to Mary once you know, become a mom. It's like men won't understand it fully
Yeah.
because we'll understand it because it's like, yeah, we're a mom. We get it. We get that love. And it's like, I bet she had 10 times more love than I have for my kid because she knew that that was God, you know? So it's like, and it's like, she didn't lose her cool. Like, she was perfect. So it was like, she didn't even lose her cool. Like, I want to be patient like that with my kid, you know? Um, so I just think she's awesome. I just love her.
Yeah. Mary is so huge. The As a perspective through a man, I actually asked her to help her make a man out of me.
Yeah.
You know, because I know I fail in so much. Well, a lot less now. Effeminacy, where it's just like just not willing to do what is difficult.
Yeah.
And that is a man's role. And I had to ask Mary and Joseph, man Joseph, um, just to show me what it's like to be a man. And Mary always delivers. I feel like she loves me like a mother,
Yeah.
but a mother that expects a lot from me.
Yes.
And I really love that relationship from her. When I sin and I go to confession, I am always sad that I offend God, but I am embarrassed that I didn't follow Mary's guidance
Yeah.
as well. Um,
I want her on my side when I get to heaven.
yeah,
When I'm at, somebody had asked me that wasn't Catholic, like, well, like you pray like so much, you know,
Yeah.
like Mary, 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 Mary. And I was like, when I get to heaven and God is going to judge me, I want his mom standing right there saying like, no,
she's
don't
mine.
worry. Like this one's good. Like I
Yeah.
promise you. And because he's going to be a just God, you know, he's going to
Yeah.
judge righteously, but she has this compassion that just women embody, you know? And I want her to be like, it's okay, my love. Like she's good. Let her in. And I want that so bad. So I'm like, I want her on my side.
Yeah,
Like, who do
that's
I
someone
want
that you
better,
want.
like, than the mother of God on my side?
Yeah.
Because I'm aware as a Catholic that my God is just and he's righteous. And he will judge me accordingly. But Mary has a lot of compassion as a woman. And I
Yeah.
want her on my side. So,
That
yeah.
motherly, womanly compassion,
Yeah.
nurturing, but at the same time, very high expectations,
Yeah.
of us, but in the most loving way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Mary's awesome, and I love what you said. You know, as we're talking, I'm thinking about how big of an influence your family has had on me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you or anybody in your family. When I was going through my divorce, I started to work at 9:30 back then, so I had to go to morning mass. And who
Yeah.
would I always see? Your mom, you,
Yeah.
Alex, Gabe, and Kaylee,
At the 6:30, you mean?
and in their morning masses.
The 9:30 or the 6:30?
No, I would go to work at 9:30.
Oh, I see.
So I would
Yes,
go to
yes,
mass.
yes, yes, at the morning masses.
Yeah, it was whichever the English one was. And I'd always see you guys there.
Yeah.
And you guys would like, although you guys look tired and like,
Oh,
but
you're so
your devotions
Yeah.
were there. It was so inspiring. I'm like, man, I want a family like how they've got a family. And then I met you. I got to know you during recollection.
Recollection, I think.
Yeah, going back to the retreats. One thing that I remember, I think your comadres. I think I know who she is. Her sister.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were at a retreat and we're about to get into the emotional part, and we're like, hey, because if we don't cry, I wasn't a good retreat.
No, exactly, right?
Yeah.
That was always our expectations. We must cry.
So, yeah, I remember meeting you there, and then Alex, and then your dad. Me and him were dads together, and he was just the coolest guy, manliest
The
man
teenagers
ever.
loved my dad.
Yeah.
They did.
I felt like the teenagers saw me as one of them, but the teenagers saw him as like, that's Papa Gilbert, you know?
Yeah, like they had
And-
respect for him, but they had so much fun with him.
Yeah, and the scapular, your mom gave it to me.
Oh my gosh, did she?
The day that everybody was being enrolled, I didn't buy one. I just completely forgot it. I lost track of it. And your mom's like, I have an extra one. And she gave it to me.
I love my mom.
I gave that one away to my grandma 3 days before she passed.
Aw.
going back to Mary and her compassion and her
Yeah.
love, and I know that she knows, but just a part of me just said, "Give it to your grandma. Give it to
Mm-hmm.
your grandma.
Right.
She's wearing it. She already had her last rites." And I remember I told my mom, like, "Hey, just give this to her, to
Yeah.
my grandma, when you change her. Uh, Maybe Mary will get confused and be like, yeah, yeah, why not? Come on in, you
Yeah,
know?"
that one's so.
Yeah.
Can you
And
imagine?
I know she wouldn't, but I really hope that Mary was there. Well,
Listen to your conscience if
yeah,
that's what they were.
100. Dude, my heart was just saying,
Then do it.
give her that scapular.
Yeah.
It reminded me, I don't even know. I know the story. I don't know any of the names, but there was a Catholic boy that worked on a ship. There's Protestants there. They were coming to another place because
Yeah.
that's what you do when you're in a ship. There's a lot of waves, a storm. He threw his scapular into the ocean.
Uh-huh.
The ocean calmed, but one last big wave came and it dropped the scapular at his feet. All those
Wow.
Protestants converted.
Beautiful.
It is, and obviously it's all through Christ and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But that's the power of the devotion and love that we have to
Yeah.
Mary. Like, yeah.
It's crazy.
So your family has been a big influence in my life unintentionally.
Aw, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love my family. I'm very blessed. My mom is. I know she's not perfect because we're earthly, but I just see her so much having the qualities that Mary has. The kindness, the patience, the compassion. I don't know how my mom is so patient, especially with me. We were homeschooled, all of us, and I was
I
like,
forgot you guys were weird.
we were weird. How did she have so much patience with me? Like, I continue to wonder that because I know it wasn't easy. I know I gave her one heck of a time throughout high school, especially. But I was like, man, you have so much patience. Like, I want to be like her so much. And she constantly is like, I wasn't always like this and I'm not perfect. But I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I think you're great.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, even Sergio before we had gotten married, was like, there's just something about like your mom. She's so patient and she's so loving and she makes everybody feel welcome that comes into her home. And I don't know. I'm very blessed because I know not everybody's mom is like that, but I'm so blessed and the way she is with my kids. And I want to be half the woman my mom is one day. I really do. Like,
Yeah, she's
I
really
think she's
awesome.
amazing. I love her. I'm very blessed with my family. I'm very blessed.
I've had very few interactions with your mom, but everyone was pretty cool and memorable.
Yeah.
I think there was one time at Holy Family Table when I was covering for Armando.
Yeah.
I need to have Armando on.
Write that down.
When I was covering for him, your dad and your mom were there, like volunteering. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? And you're like, yeah, we come. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, but
Yeah.
and they were just asking me a bunch of like questions, and then
Yes.
me always trauma dumping, like, oh yeah, I got divorced, and they're all like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but they're like, but you seem like you're doing okay, and keep it up, and like your mom always had kind words for me, and
Yeah.
she is awesome, and I do see that kindness in you, even though I know the fierce and sassy Kayla.
Yeah.
There is that kind and loving.
I think I get
nurturing
that
Kayla.
side from my dad.
Yeah, right. He is very sassy.
Yeah. I think, they really instilled in us that servant heart always at the Holy Family table from a very young age. We would go every Saturday, every Sunday. I think once we got into our teenage years, we kind of faltered off. They continued to go. They were great. We're teenagers and we're lazy and this and that, and we stopped going. But they made us go, and I enjoyed it. I had so much fun at the Holy Family table, serving people, making friends. And I remember we would do, like, Thanksgiving, like, that was it. We would go Thanksgiving. We didn't care. And then afterwards, we would come and celebrate ours. I think we even did it, like, on Christmas one year, if I'm correct.
Way. That's so
We went
nice.
Christmas, and then we came home and we, unwrapped our gifts. And they taught us that servant heart. And they still have it today, like that beautiful servant heart. I'm amazed by them and the amount of stuff they do for the church.
And it's beautiful that it's together, because there I would see either men or women, but never a couple. So that was something that stood out a lot.
They're very good at doing things together. A lot of the groups, they're in it together. When my dad does cooking for the Knights of Columbus, like my mom is like helping make a side dish or something like that, or she's there and she's picking up food and she's, supporting him. And I just noticed them do a lot of stuff together. And I think that's so beautiful because it's cultivating this relationship of we're married, but we serve God together, and we put him in the center.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for my marriage. That's the example I want. Constantly, they're always doing stuff together. It's And my mom would be like, don't say it. But I'm like, you guys are relationship goals, you know? Like them and definitely my grandparents. Because my grandparents have been married for, I think going on 60 years now.
Wow.
They're also my relationship goals, you know?
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get that of
Yeah.
like having those, and it actually speaks a lot for you and Sergio, because Sergio's family too is
Yes.
very united. I see him in mass all the time. They happen to always go to the one that I go to. When I
Weird,
go to,
huh?
yeah,
A little suspicious.
yeah.
I know.
But man, that's so beautiful, man,
Yeah.
to have that many examples. And then there's a lot of couples in our parish too that I love seeing so many marriages within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's maybe less, but it's just like we know that they're doing it with, the teachings
Yeah.
that are supposed to be.
I think that's one of my struggles because people are always like, yeah, but Kayla, people don't have what you have. You know, people don't have that,
Mm.
you know, example that you have of your grandparents that have been married for 60 years and your parents that are going on strong and this and that. But I see those couples in the church. I like to argue, well, you know, friends are the family that you make along the way. So maybe if God didn't give you those people, he gave you 30 million other examples in the church. Like, just because that's your story doesn't mean that that's the example you have to look at. Like, he gave you so many other examples. So I'm like, I don't really find that always as a valid argument, because I'm like, I think that, yeah, I have been dealt a really good card, you know? But I think that you can also make good of the situation that you've been put in if you realize what God is also giving you.
Yeah, because
The
there's also
blessings.
the argument of people that do come from good families and they just end up going the complete opposite, you
Yes.
know? So it is whatever cards you're dealt with,
Yeah.
it's how do you play them, you know?
How do you play them?
Exactly. So, yeah, and I didn't mean to throw a shot at you by saying that, but yeah, like I'm glad you brought that up, because you're absolutely right. There's been so many couples before. It just used to be two your compadres and Tom and Shelly
Yes.
that I was just like, oh, I love these guys, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm all like, okay, Manda
Yeah.
Armando. Okay,
Yeah.
see. Oh, Kayla, Sergio. Okay, I see. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, whoa, like you guys are everywhere.
They're everywhere. When
Yeah.
you look. But you
When-
have to look. You have to put
when you
yourself
look,
out there.
yes.
And look.
And
yeah.
see, before my priorities for
Mhm.
relationships were not like, what if I find someone that we can actually make things work, instead of I just need someone to fulfill my needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that that's something beautiful that I've realized with my siblings of like having expectations versus realizing what God has given you and then making it beautiful. You know what I mean? I think sometimes as Catholics, we go in with, you know, example is like, they have to be Catholic, you know, like they have to be Catholic.
Yeah.
We have to get married young. But it's like, maybe you meet somebody that's not Catholic. My grandpa is not Catholic, you know, and they've been married for 60 years.
Whoa.
But I know that that's been a cross that my grandma has carried, but that's her cross that God has given her. And I believe that God is sanctifying her through that sacrifice, you know, daily.
Oh, man. Father Ripperger said that. He says, usually your spouse is someone that God had for you.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you're lacking that they're going to provide you to perfect it.
I did we did a TOB retreat, a talk at the TOB retreat a couple weeks ago. And one of the points was like, oh, like tell them, you know, if they're not Catholic, like that's not a good idea. Don't marry them. And I was like, I can't say that because I don't believe it.
Good.
Because I think that if they're not Catholic, that could still be the person that God is giving you. And we always say like, oh, that person is going to push you closer to heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we think that it's because we're going to take their hand and we're going to run together, you know, that we're both going to be Catholic, running to heaven together. But I think we often forget that they're making me closer to heaven by making me work on my virtues because of like their vices. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I think that, you know, with my grandfather, because he's not Catholic, but they've been married for 60 years, you know, they're not divorced. That's really hard to say when you're not Catholic, 100%. You know?
Or just two different beliefs. You know?
Exactly. And so I really see that with my grandma. I think, wow, you're a saint, because this is something that God has given you, a struggle. I'm sure I'm not doubting that it's been hard going to mass every single Sunday for 60 years without your husband by your side. But I'm sure that God is like, yes, you know, he's pushing you closer to me. I can't imagine the amount of rosaries that she said for him. You know what I mean? How many prayers she's offered up. Like, without him knowing it, he's pushing her closer to heaven, you know? And so I have to believe that. I can't say that if they're not Catholic. You can't. Because that might be the hand that God is dealing you, because he knows that that's what's going to push you closer to heaven. And maybe you're going to bring them closer to heaven too. Like, oh, wow, my spouse is a good person. Maybe I want a little piece of that. Maybe I want to be Catholic, you know? Yeah. But it might not be right away. It might not be at all. You never know.
It might be until the end, you know?
But I think I have faith. My grandpa's going to convert one day. I don't think he'll listen to this. Yeah, but I have faith that even if it's on his deathbed, I think he'll convert, because the amount of sacrifices that not only my grandma, but all of us have made as a family, I think he'll get there. I love him so much. He's a good man.
And look, it even brought you guys closer together as a family.
Yes.
You know? So that's very beautiful. And you're absolutely right. So after I started helping so much at the church parish, I began talking to my family once a month about like it started with like whatever topics you guys want to talk about the faith. I'll try to answer as much as I can. And then it ended up being like, well, can you just give us a talk every month? So that's what I do. Every month I get my cousins together. Not all of them. Still.
I love that.
I do too.
That's awesome.
And I had a cousin give a talk 2 months ago. I gave last month about Mary. And then this month, a different cousin's giving their very first talk. And I'm just like, look at that. But going back to what you said about like, it's not meant for everybody, and I can get them closer to God. Not to like, you know, throw anybody into the bus or make anybody feel bad, but a lot of my cousins are in that situation where they're just showing up. They're trying their best. I didn't even know that they were trying to have a relationship with God because I never asked.
Yeah.
And now that I've asked, and now we've come together, a portion of us from our family came together to like, hey, let's climb this closer and let's bring our you know, my I don't know, cousin-in-laws, and then their kids. Let's bring them all together, and it's become such a beautiful thing. Right now, we're pretty small in numbers, but like little by little, we're getting another cousin. Like, oh, like we convinced them. Or my when I give the Mary talk, my cousin and his wife brought her sister and his husband. And
beautiful. I love it.
And it's just like, okay, whoever wants to come, little by little.
There's power in prayer, and there's power in example.
Yeah.
Like, just keep showing up. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
I believe in it.
I do too. And
my sister-in-law, she's like, bring more soldiers for the kingdom.
Breed more soldiers for the
My sister-in-law is so funny. I remember sitting down with him at the house, and my mother was like, you know, so and so, like, you have to marry, like, you know, after college. But Damien didn't marry after he was in college. He got married in college. No. Don't listen to your brother. She goes, and you have to date like later. But Andrew started dating when he was in middle school. She's like, what? Stop doing that. She goes, and you have to marry a Catholic boy, you know? But so-and-so, you know, the other brother started dating somebody and they weren't Catholic. And she's like, really? And then she's like, but now they're Catholic. See, I make more soldiers for the kingdom. And I was like, what is wrong with you, child? You know?
Make more soldiers.
But I was like, you never know, you know, like your actions, your prayer, your perseverance. Yeah. Like, maybe God is putting these people in your life because he's like, you are going to help be the tool to get them there. Yeah. And isn't that a beautiful thing?
It is. And God is so awesome because I really thought that what he wanted from me and what I wanted to give.
Yes.
Was going to be one thing, and then he's like, no, I don't want you to do this. I want you to focus more on this.
But you have a beautiful thing, Diego, because when you get to heaven, and we're at the end, and he's showing you everything in your life, he's going to say, like, look at all these people you brought to me. Look at all these people. I don't think I'm going to have a big number, but I hope that there are a few that I brought to him, because that would just bring me so much joy. You know, I would be like, you know what? Okay, forgive my sins. I know you showed me those already, but like, I brought you those people. Like, I helped you, you know? I think you're doing that by bringing all your family closer because it's those little things.
Yeah, I'm trying. And even like, gonna make me cry last week because honestly, I've never really wanted to look at it that way because I'm like, I might not even get it. Yeah, but like I'm glad you guys did. From down here.
You party for all of eternity. Yeah. No, don't think like that.
It's I don't know, but I had your brother here, and I was asking him advice, like, because
You
I have
had
a
him
lot.
twice, you said, right?
I did.
He's so funny.
Before the election and after the election.
Yeah. I
Be-
can't wait to hear those episodes.
no, well, I really liked having your brother here because his perspective on having politics and Catholicism intertwined.
My brother's phenomenal. My brother's
Uh,
very talented with that.
Right? Because I was always like, politics seem dumb, dude. I just
Don't
feel
tell
like
him I said he's phenomenal.
he won't watch this. You know, he's the
But-
one that kept pushing me, like, do a podcast, do a podcast, do a podcast. And I'm like,
You have the personality for it. Yeah, you really do.
I have
And then
someone
you're
I need to
bringing on
argue
you're
that.
bringing on all the right people. Like we're all so talkative, so like you're bringing on the
Yeah,
right people.
Mia was a little shy, but it's all right. She's 11, maybe by 12.
You can't have a podcast though and not bring on your daughter. That's like a
Right?
rule.
She's the coolest girl I know.
Yeah, love.
Well,
I think she's awesome.
I think she is too. What was I saying?
Alex,
Alex. No, it wasn't about Alex. I just got sidetracked. with
that
Alex.
Catholicism, and he has a good way of bringing Catholicism.
He does.
in politics.
And we. Yeah, that's not what I was gonna say. I'm all like profound pause and no, nothing.
No, nothing comes
just,
to mind.
But bringing people closer to God.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. I remember what I was gonna say. Because I thought God wanted me to focus on one thing and make this huge thing where I'm like, whoa, like we're gonna reach so many people.
Yeah.
But he said, bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it home and focus on there. And you know how you said, like, well, like you're gonna touch so many lives, even if it's a little bit of lives.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still gonna be worth it. It's gonna be what God wanted me to do.
Same thing like the retreat.
Yeah,
Somebody's gonna listen to what they need to listen to.
100%. And I think the most difficult thing and the scary thing for anybody is you get that thought in your head. You know what? I talked to a bunch of strangers about God, but I can't talk to my family about God. Why not? And not ignoring that.
Yeah.
Because there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe like what if you just talked to like religious people and recorded it?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, and follow through. Like God is always asking us to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And we think like, well, no, God is all time. Nah, he's using technology too to evangelize. So yeah, and I think that's the most difficult part, discerning that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel blessed too because in that community of our church community,
Yeah.
I've made friends that are 2 decades old. He's one of my best friends. Another best friend, 15 years. And, you know, Christian is becoming, I don't know, a couple years. Like, we're like at 7, 8, 9 years that we know each other.
Did you know him before he dated his now wife?
Yes.
Really?
I've known.
That's
I don't want to get into. Actually,
beautiful.
2 episodes ago, they were both talking on the podcast.
Just the two of them?
Yeah, I was talking to Christian about marriage, and then his wife came
hear
in.
all these.
Me neither. December 1st, we start dropping them.
All right, cool. I'm waiting. Let's go.
It doesn't get good until episode 3, but
It's okay. Which episode was me on?
no, I'm just kidding. She was like episode 6 or something. No, and Kevin, I've had him on too.
Yeah.
Like he was a confirmation student. I didn't think anything like that, and now like you know,
The friends that I've made through church are some of the most amazing friends that I have. Are really the friends that I stay connected with daily. Not to say like my friends that I made, you know, beforehand are horrible. You know, one of them is my comadre. I love her dearly,
Yeah.
you know. But like daily staying in touch are like, you know, Amanda and my friend Jaslyn and my friend Annalise and like those mom friends. One, because yeah, they get it. You know, they understand my season of life. But 2, you want friends that are rooted in the faith, that are going to bring you closer to God, that are going to encourage you and be like, hey, are you going to women's group tonight? Or, hey, like, I'm not doing anything. Let's go to adoration together. Or, you know, right now we have a thing going on with our women's group where we're, every night we're checking in with our self-denial. So we each have said, like, you know what, I'm going to engage in self-denial and make sure that I'm not doing this today, you know, and we're texting each other at the end of the day, like, how did, you know, self-denial check-in? Did you guys deny yourself today? And it's like, yeah, or no, we failed, or, you know, we're going to try better tomorrow. Or, But that's been going on. And I'm so grateful because now I'm actually being held accountable, you know, and I find myself so much more productive throughout the day. And because I'm engaging in that self-denial, and it's because of the friends that he's given me, because I have holy friends that are guiding me closer to him and pushing me to be like, I thought I was a good Catholic. It's like, no, I have so much more work to do, you know? And it's because of them. I fully attribute it to them. I love them for that.
I do too. I love them for the tough times too. Those conversations that no one else, has the cojones to tell me.
The time where I felt you guys so much as my church friends, just realizing that you guys were my true friends, was when you organized everybody to go to the chapel for me when I was in the hospital giving birth to my oldest. I found out, I didn't know that you guys were going to the chapel until I think Sergio told me either later that day or even maybe after I gave birth. Somewhere. That whole thing's a blur. But I remember crying when I found out that you guys were all there because I was like, what better? Like, of course, having friends, call you or text you is so much of a blessing. But I want those friends that, are in there praying on their knees for me. And you guys were doing that. And I'm going to cry. I was so blessed. Like, and I felt the power of prayer in that moment. Yeah. Like, I truly did. I felt it. I remember Boleyn was also somebody that went to adoration for me literally the night of my C-section. And she said, like, that she saw the doctor cutting me open as the Eucharist was being lifted for the final blessing. Gosh. She goes, was at the same time, Kayla? And I was like crying because I was like, this is beautiful. Like, I have friends that are doing this for me. Like, how many people can say that? You know, like the church, if you put yourself out there and you make those friends, I truly believe you will find community. Yeah. In every single Catholic church, you just have to put yourself out there and be amazed at the community that God is giving you. You know, whether it's older people, like, you'll find community with them. I laugh because my goddaughter is in college and she joined the YLI over in her college campus. She thought YLI, being Young Ladies Institute, was going to be a bunch of young ladies, It was all these older women, But she says she still goes to the meetings and she loves the little old ladies, like they're so sweet to her. And I'm like, look, like God gives you community in the unexpected places. Like 100%. You just have to look for it and be grateful for it because those old ladies are sharing wisdom, and like my friends are sharing community and prayers with me. And I love my Catholic friends. I love them so much.
Me too.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Like I remember I was going to have a tough conversation with someone. I kind of already knew where it was going to go. And I asked a bunch of people separately, some group chats that had already existed from different types of Catholic group friends. Mm-hmm. And I just felt those prayers. That conversation went exactly as it should. Mm-hmm. Like as good as it could have possibly been, even though it was something that was difficult for both of us in the conversation. And I'm just like, whoa. Like the power of prayer, I don't think it gets enough hype. It's... in modern days, it's so easy to confuse it with, wishful thinking, or because you willed it in, because you hope for it so much.
You manifested it.
That's the word, manifested it. I stopped reading those books.
Can't stand that word. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, it's truly the unity of us with Christ in Christ.
And the power of numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it. I do. Because it's like, if one person's knocking on your door, like, over, it's annoying, but when there's 5 hands, 6 hands, 7 hands at your door knocking all at do, when one stops, the other one starts, that's going to get really annoying fast,
Might as well. What?
Yes, just okay,
what?
Yes,
I'll give it to them. Kayla, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay.
And that's exactly how I envision it. People are like, Catholic theologians are like, she's so wrong in the comments. Yeah. But that's how I see it, like when you gather people in prayer, and that's one thing that I've added for our prayer intentions at the end of the night when we pray a rosary. It's like, I have bad memory, when people are like, pray for me. And I'm like, yes. Sometimes it becomes like oh yeah, of course I'll pray for you, Mm-hmm. So I've become a prayer intention. Like all those people, God, who have asked me to pray for them today, like this rosary is for them. Because I might not be able to call them out by name, 100%. But I know I've told people today, like, I will pray for you. Like, and I just can't remember right now because I'm drawing a blank. So like anybody that's asked me to pray for them, this rosary is for them. And
I think that's the right community to be involved in.
Yes.
Where you have the humility to ask someone, or pray for me because I'm struggling and I need help.
Yeah. I need to get better at that. I need to get better at asking for prayers. I think I feel sometimes like it's a burden, Like,
when they ask you for... No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
When I had to ask... And I'm so happy to pray for people, But when I have to ask for prayers, I kind of find it like a burden, Like, I don't want to, like... they have better things to pray for, or I don't want to show that I'm struggling in this moment. That's another reason why I don't want to, I don't want to show them that I'm struggling. I do need to get better at asking for prayers because...
who I love that does that so much and so often, and for they're not like mundane things, but I'm like, All right, I'll pray for you,
Uh-huh.
man. Your husband.
He's so good.
He is so good at
I'm
that.
so blessed,
I'm
you
in a
guys.
dad's
I
group
love
chat
him.
with him.
Are you really?
Yeah. And it's funny because we all have girls.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, guys, about to take a test. Pray for me. I'm
Yes.
like, okay. I didn't know we can ask for that.
Yes. The prayers, he's always I text the women's group chat, but he's on both our family chats the morning of his exams, or I'm feeling tired today, my love, like on the road, pray for me,
That's so beautiful.
Everything. And he's so good at that because I think he truly recognizes the power of prayer.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for him and just the way that I thought I was a good Catholic growing up, because I was homeschooled and I had studied, I studied theology books and the Bible and the catechism and all these things that were a part of my literature for religion and theology class. But I feel like being married to Sergio has showed me how I need to not only know God, but I need to just love him and be connected to him. Like, it's one thing to know him, but it's another thing to love him and spend time with him. Sergio has truly shown me that, which is funny because he says that I drew him closer to God. That's what he says. So I think it's that beauty of marriage, when you find your true spouse and it's like they bring me closer, to God, like that mutual thing. But I truly feel like he has brought me closer because he's always like, she knew the Bible. It was so attractive. That's what he would say, Where he says that, I say he just drew me to have a better relationship because he just has trust. And he's just like, I don't know, but God will take care of it. Where I'm like, this is the Bible and this is the catechism and no, the church states this. He shows me another side of our faith. And I'm so grateful for him. I just love him.
I love him too.
I'll keep him.
So awesome. Yeah.
I'll keep him.
Might as well. You guys already had 2 kids.
I already had 2 kids.
Might as well invest the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome.
Man, dude. Marriage.
Marriage is fun.
I asked a guest here, JC, and I want your thoughts on this. And I asked him, do you have any advice for anybody that's going to get married? And he said no, because everybody's kind of different. And I think the only thing that he said, the advice was, he was giving it to you guys. Do you remember?
He has a mic.
I do have a mic. The advice he given us was that ultimately the people who know what to work on is you two, because you guys are the ones in the relationship. So you guys are the best judges of what to assess within the relationship and what to work on. So for someone on the outside to give you advice seems kind of irrelevant or irrational.
Would you agree with that, or do you think that it's...
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think... Oh my goodness, JC's going to hate me. I think sometimes guys and girls have different perspectives. Girls like an answer, where guys were for instance, when people are dating,
like gaming, he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
God's got it.
At the TV retreat, I guess Father had given an answer. One of the girls said something about, her boyfriend and being insecure. And he's like, just talk with him. I'm like, that's such a guy answer. Girls need more. That's just what a guy would say, And I'm like, this is what's going on. Probably, this is what you need to do. So I feel like that's a guy answer. It's a good answer because I do agree in the fact where nobody knows your marriage like you know your marriage.
Exactly.
That's very true. But I would also say that there are hardcore ideas, especially as Catholic people, that is advice to be given. You know what I mean? One of the advices I would give is never stop dating your spouse. Constantly date your spouse. Always. I don't care if you're going on a date in your living room. Get dressed up.
That is cool.
Date. We didn't really do it when we first got married. This is the first year where we've gone on. We started last year a little bit, but this is the first full year where we've gone on a date every single month. We drop off the kids because my kids are my world, of course, but they're going to grow up and have their own families one day. Sergio is for life, Yeah. And so I would say that's one of my hardcore advices. Every month when you don't have kids, do it every week if you can. I hear some couples going on dates every week. But it's because you get so busy with life and then you forget the magic of dating and your spouse becomes a roommate, and it's like, no, like take them on dates. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can, get a pizza out of your freezer and then just sit on the floor of your living room and like talk and play board games, but date your spouse constantly. I think that would be a piece of advice that I have for any spouse, is it's just like the fun doesn't end just because you get married or because you have kids or, because you don't have money. Yeah. It's like, no, this is when you get creative. Yeah. This is when you get to have fun dates.
That's cool.
So I think that would be like a piece of advice that I have. And then another thing would be like root your life in prayer constantly, just the two of you guys. Because like I said, I feel like, especially being a parent, you focus so much on your kids that you forget your own needs and your spouse's needs. So it's not pushing your kids to the side, but it's when they've gone to sleep or whenever, like, make time for your spouse, make time for God. One of my favorite dates this year was, we usually plan off and on, so it was one of my dates that I planned, but we just went to adoration. We went to In-N-Out, and then we went to adoration afterwards, and we spent like an hour in adoration, and that was my favorite time. Even he was like, this is a great date, because we got to go to adoration, no kids, just me and him holding hands in front of the Lord. It was beautiful. So it's like, root your relationship in the Lord, and I think you're going to go very far. Like, yes, your relationship looks different than other people's, but I think that's a baseline that I would say for every single couple. Constantly date. Don't forget to date. Don't get in a habit,
Dating is fun.
Christian, of not dating your spouse. Take her to a movie. Something. Get dressed up.
I think I enjoy your guys' Regal membership more than you guys sometimes. Is that true or no?
I don't remember the last time I went to a movie.
And neither can I. And we're like big movie fans. We try to go at least twice a month, and I have not.
Dude, so
honestly,
every day,
take her on a date. And I feel like I fell into the habit of like, everything's a date. Like, no, not everything's a date. That was my perspective. It's like, but we're married now. Grocery shopping's a date. It's just the two of us.
Yeah.
That's not a date.
That's
like,
a chore.
That's a chore. Like a date is like, you get ready and I get ready. You don't have to be in a ball gown, but like, you guys get ready.
Yeah,
and
shower.
Then you have a mission. Yeah, like, we're going to go do a movie, or we're going to do a planned event. Yeah. We're going to do it together, and we're not going to talk about the kids, and we're not going to talk about work, and we're not going to talk about all this mundane stuff. We're going to talk about like what we used to talk about when we were dating, like our futures, our goals, where we're failing in life, where we want to grow.
When you guys do that, what does that do to the relationship?
I think it makes us rethink. So on our last date, we celebrated 30 years of marriage.
I thought you said 30. I'm not like
30 years of marriage.
How old am I?
Like, so good. We celebrated 30 years of marriage last month. Well, this month. We're still in November. So
I hit 4, so you got to beat me.
Did you?
Yeah.
Cheater. No, not like that. Cut that out. Cut that out.
No, leave it in. That's hilarious.
Not that kind of cheater.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Take that out, Christian.
No, okay.
I feel horrible.
You reached 3 years of marriage, and then what happened?
Okay, we're gonna keep moving. I reached 3 years of marriage. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Hey, serious. Retreat.
I reached 3 years of marriage in November. And so we sat there and we talked about, what did you do? Like, not horribly, but what could you have worked on this year? What could you have done better? What did you do the best? What was my favorite thing that you did this year? What was my least favorite thing that you did this year? And it wasn't us like nitpicking, like, you didn't do this. It was like little things. Like, I think he said, like, you worry too much. And so it's like, okay, I need to put my worrying in check, because whether I like it or not, it's affecting him. And whether I like it or not, he's realizing it, And so I think it comes with how you're going to take it. Like, if you're in a really bad relationship, those kind of conversations can go really south fast, But if you're coming at it with a healthy perspective, it's going to help you grow, because guess what? You're stuck with that person for the rest of your life. So it's either you're going to keep doing those habits that annoy them and it's going to go down a bad track, or you're going to figure it out in your early years and then fix it. Like, for instance, one of the things that, so petty, it was so dumb, but I was like, he leaves the toilet seat up. Like, that was one of the first things when we got married. I remember our godparents said, like, you guys better fix the things that annoy you guys now. because if you don't fix them, it's gonna get real annoying as you continue. And I remember within like the first half of our first year of being married, he fixed it.
Yeah.
Like he stopped. So it was like, yeah, like those things, like they do work when you want to make the other person's life easier and realize, oh, I'm stuck with this person. I don't want to make their life miserable. I don't want them to constantly be worrying about me, you know? And so, yeah, I think it does a lot of fruitful work as long as you go in with the right perspective and not, I'm going to be butthurt by what they say, but okay, this is really what they feel like. This is an open time for them to be vulnerable and for them to be like, look, I really don't like it when you do this. And it's like, okay, I don't like it when you do this. Let's work on it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
I remember.
That's what I would say. Sorry, JC. I kind of have a different perspective.
No, and I think all perspectives are good, even though they're like, because he's also right, and you had, you acknowledged it. It's like, yeah, there's certain things that only you guys know.
Yeah.
But there's like some general things that can help anybody.
Yeah, and I think that's a general thing. I think being very vulnerable on those dates and being very wholesome, and we try our best not to talk about the kids is very hard.
They're your favorite people.
They're our favorite people.
Yeah.
We come back to it, but trying to stay off those topics and just like sometimes we're just recalling memories like, oh my gosh, remember when we did this when we were dating, or sometimes it's dreaming about the future. Like, I really want that house. And like, can we imagine the dogs that we would have? Or sometimes it's correcting our personalities. But I think dates are so important. They're so important. And I've seen relationships where you don't date your spouse and it just becomes a roommate. And it's very sad. Another thing that I would say, I'd never, ever go to bed at a different time than your spouse. Always go to bed at the same time.
At a different time. Oh, okay.
Always
go
to bed at the same time.
Not angry, but no.
I don't care if you're angry. You go to bed at the same
Where
time.
the hell were all you guys when I was...
I'm so sorry, Diego. It's okay. We're gonna find you somebody, and then we're gonna make this relationship awesome.
Well, yeah, I'd be like, I'm gonna just go back to episode 10 where Kayla said, okay, that's what she said.
Never. I have found. I mean, JC's perspective might be a different one, with this. But I have found that when I go to bed at the same time as Sergio, it just creates this unity of this is my other half, and it's not like I'm going to bed. Whenever you go to bed, good luck, But it's like this unity. I remember in college, I stayed up one time and he was studying, and I was so tired because I think I was pregnant at that time. And he's like, "Why don't you just go to bed?" And I was like, "No, you're my husband. We go to bed together," and we did. And we fell right asleep, but it's that beauty of like, you're my other half. I don't do this stuff without you. You're not my roommate, So I think I would say put your best foot forward as far as like something simple like going to bed together at the same time. We go to bed same time. I think it creates a good healthy habit.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anything.
And there's something about like not having your phones and just like laying there and being like, yeah, this is what happened today, and like falling asleep talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's when deep conversations happen.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's what I would say.
I like it.
Thank
I
you.
like it. I will try not to create my future spouse a roommate.
Yeah, don't do that. Bad habits.
No, honestly, Sergio, me and I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z, but for those of you who do, me and Kevin call him King Kai. Because sometimes Goku had to put his hand in his back in order to speak through us. And sometimes we're like, what would Sergio do in this situation?
Oh my God.
Because we're like, we're not making the right decision.
That's so funny.
But both of you have been such a big inspiration. And it's funny because
you.
Kevin and I were both not at your wedding, but very much invited.
Yeah.
And
we missed you guys. I think you guys would have been so much fun at our wedding.
I think so too, but I was just finishing a retreat.
Yeah, I remember that.
And, yeah.
But you helped so much plan our honeymoon. You were with Sergio.
that's right. The whole Cancun, right?
Yeah, I'm very grateful for you for
I'm
doing
grateful
that
for
with
you
Sergio.
guys.
That was really sweet of you to help with that. And then we missed Kevin. He was supposed to be one of the groomsmen.
Yeah.
So that was really sad that he
was
wasn't
too busy serving our country.
Serving our country or whatever.
Such
I guess if you want to serve our country, that's fine. You don't want to come to my wedding.
Yeah.
But you guys were missed.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sad I missed it.
It's okay. You guys will be at our 5-year anniversary.
For sure we will.
Yes.
After you beat me. Because I'm a cheater.
So sorry.
No, I cheated because I beat you first too. Though,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well,
Funny.
Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point.
All right.
I really enjoyed having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
I lose track of that this is a religious podcast sometimes with other guests. You'll hear the episodes.
I think today we
or,
talked about
or
religion.
you were just and I really liked it because this is essentially what I wanted it to be.
Good. I'm glad.
And
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited.
I'm gonna want you back again. And once I figure out how to have 2 more mics or another mic, I'll have you and Damien. But I probably want Sergio.
Yes, have him. We'll come together. I'll come again. I have so much fun. I'm a very
Sister Jessica was
chatty catty.
So Sister Jessica, she called me yesterday and she's like, "Are you busy?" I'm like, "I'm about to jump in the shower." She's like, "So you're not busy?" I'm like, "Okay." And then so you're
2
talking.
hours later.
Yeah, dude, it was like 35 minutes, 40 minutes later.
That's so funny.
And but she was saying like, I just heard this podcast and I feel like you need to hear the last hour to our podcast. And it goes against everything that you say the faith is to you. And I actually like I'm gonna win this argument with you because all we do is argue every time we go out for dinner or whatever. But we argue about the faith. Like a big thing is that she's like, God is so merciful and so loving. I'm like, no, he's just, and we need it's just the complete opposite.
So funny.
And but yeah, I want to have her back on too. I'm like, why don't you just come on the podcast so we can have our arguments here? So.
That would be so cool to listen to. I had so much fun today. I was looking forward to it. I feel like I've always wanted to do a podcast. I tried, but I just don't think I'm in that season of life.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you're ready. I can give you some tips. I'll even let you use my studio.
One day I will be. Probably when I'm done having kids. It won't be for a while.
I'll lend you Christian too, so he can.
Thank you,
be
sir.
in the background. Usually he's good at googling, but luckily we weren't being fact checked today.
Yeah.
So who knows what we said if it was true?
Yeah.
No.
But I'm so grateful you can't have me on. Thank you.
No, I'm grateful for you coming on. But one last thing that I wanted to mention about like the married couples giving relationship advice. Kind of reminds me of the saints giving, like, there's thousands of saints giving different types of thousands of advice of like, this is how we should approach Mary. This is, the best way to pray. And it's just like, there's variety, and that's so beautiful.
There's variety. And I think it's like if somebody gives you an opportunity to like give your input because you never know if they take it and maybe it saves their marriage. You never know. So I think if you have it, like, take the variety, like, look at different options. Like, there's books on parenting. Like, I don't agree with all of them, but I'm sure that they've helped certain people, 100%. That's so important to search. And it's important to find those couples that do relate to you. I feel like our godparents, which is funny because we picked them, but we didn't really envision them being so much like us. I didn't think they were so much like us until, like, literally, like, I had my C-section and I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, we're the same people. Like, I'm just doubled, Like, I feel so connected with them. So it's like, find those couples that are in similar situations like you, and then be vulnerable with them and be like, this is what we're struggling with. Like, can you help us? And if they ask, like, tell them, like, how you figured out situations like that, and be like, might not work for you.
It becomes a give and take. Yeah.
Because I feel like I've learned so much from the couples at my church because I've asked, like, what are your input on this? What's your input on that? And you're not meant to do this alone. Like, if you're not meant to journey like on marriage alone, we would get nowhere. God has given us other married friends and couples and mentors and godparents to be his voice to us in those moments when we need
100%,
it. Yeah. But totally like the saints, totally a variety. But you have to seek it out, like I might not agree with all of the saints' opinions, but St. Anthony's totally annoyed with me the amount of times I go to him,
Did you lose your car keys or what?
He's my homie. If I get to heaven, please God, let me get to heaven. If I get to heaven, he's going to be like, not that one. Like, don't talk to me. I'm going to be like, look, I have questions for you. He's going to be like, get away from me. He's going to be so sick of me. When I worked in the youth ministry office, they would make fun of me because I would do, be like, St. Anthony, turn around. And then I turn around. Be like, St. Anthony, let it be found. And the youth minister would like make fun of me. She'd be like, that doesn't work. And I go, I think it does work. And then sure enough, I would find the thing, I'd done this my whole life. she finally got to the point where she's like, do your silly little dance. Do your dance and find it. Just do your dance and find it. I was like, it works. You know it works.
That's when St. Anthony was like with the shades, if they have shades up there.
Yeah.
I heard it's bright.
Yeah.
So
He's all yes. If a mom can't find it and St. Anthony can't find it, it's truly lost. That's what they say.
Wow.
Yeah, he's my homie. I love him.
$1 million, St. Anne.
You didn't lose it. You're wanting it. Those two different things, Diego.
That's true. That's very true.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I think it also comes from us learning how to be humble and tell people, like, I need help. Because I think that's a big step that we all miss out. We'll get all the advice, but we'll never, like, oh, it's because I need help. It's just like, no, like, just general advice. Instead of saying, like, we keep arguing about this.
Yeah.
We're not sure how to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything for us?
Seek married couples. Seek, your perspective of priests. We've gone to priests before when we're, not necessarily fighting, but we're like, we don't know how to handle this,
Yeah.
It's so important because if you don't ask, you're keeping yourself in this situation. And I feel like when you talk about humility, I saw this post and it was like, there's this pressure to be this perfect married couple. Nothing's wrong with us, And I was like, oh my goodness, it's so true. Like, especially being a young couple, I feel this pressure. I don't think he feels it. He's very good with, like, handling pressure. But I feel this pressure of, like, I have to be perfect so I can encourage people to get married young. Like, I have to show, like, perfection.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Like, it's in those imperfect things that we grow and we are on our way to perfection.
Yeah.
So, like, embrace the imperfect because that's what's making you perfect when you embrace it and you fix it and you keep moving forward. But you move forward with the help of others sometimes. You can't do it on your own because guess what? Like, hopefully, this is your first time being married, because you get married once. So it's like, hopefully, but, in the ideal world, you get married once.
You're taking a lot of shots at me today, but it's
that's
cool.
not what I mean, like in the eyes of the church, marriage being forever. And we hope
100%.
that your marriage lasts. It's like, you get married once, this is your first time doing it. You're not going to know how to fix it.
100%.
Like, you just don't. It's not like.
And you know what? Well, I never got married because technically I didn't. It was annulled. But
there you go then.
Yeah, like the way that we don't give ourselves enough slack. We don't cut ourselves enough
Exactly.
slack. Like how you said, that need for I need to be perfect so I can encourage others. If you're worried about what others think about your marriage, but you're not focusing on your marriage, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you were able to figure that out and don't get a big head over this at such a young age and understand that. But like you've also mentioned, it's through the help of all those around you.
It is.
That's big. That's huge because I think with a lot of modern couples that aren't really based on faith, it's all about we have to appear like we're the perfect calendar and the fall leaves are falling couple. All our kids are smiling, but it took hours for us to get them to smile just to get that one shot.
Yes.
I fear that that's what a lot of people go through in their actual marriages. It's, hey, look, we're good and we have to appear good, but we're actually just falling. We're holding on by a thread.
Yeah. I think it's so important to see those people in the reality of your life. Invite people over to see the chaos,
You know what? Belen invited me over once, and I remember it was a chaos. It was for dinner. And
I love her house.
And I do too.
I love
it. Dude, and it's so beautiful, our church community, right? Patricia now married, but she was always there taking care of the kids. Beautiful. And I'm like, hey, Patricia.
Yeah.
And she's like, sorry, the house isn't clean, but I'm not really that sorry because this is my life and this is what it is.
And when I tell you, she's
how
just
down
like
to earth she is. And
what
I love about
you need
Marcos,
to have them on.
I do. And what I love about Marcos is like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. And like his trust in God too.
I love her house. I just find so much peace at her house because of the reality of it. I feel like sometimes when you go to like pretty houses and everything's like glass and like don't touch anything because you're gonna break it, you're like, oh, I'm so stiff. I can't move. I don't want to touch anything. But in her house, I just feel free. I feel like this is reality of having so many kids and she's happy though, and it's beautiful and the kids are having fun.
And she makes you feel at home.
She does.
Yeah.
She gives you, you want food, you want something to drink, and she sits down and she actually talks with you and it makes you feel like a
kids
real
running
person.
around,
Yes.
throwing things and everything, but like, yeah,
But
you
she
have
has like her focus on
Yeah.
you. I love that. So it's like invite people to see the chaos, invite them to show them like those books and those magazines, like, and those Instagram posts, like, they're fake. Like, this is what real life looks like. And you want to know how we get to church on time on Sundays? You know, the house is a mess when we get back home because clothes were thrown everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you see what we want you to see, but come see like the chaos because there's beauty in the chaos. Embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too, man.
Yeah.
And I was at their wedding.
Were you
Yeah.
really?
I remember I danced with Belen
Oh my
with the dollar dance. And I
gosh.
was like, someday I would want a relationship like yours. I think it was 17 or 18. And I just remember because she was so young too. She's all like, huh? And I'm like, all right, bye, whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a cool moment, but whatever. I should dance with Marcus. But I remember that wedding. It was one of the coolest, funnest weddings ever. Yeah.
They were at our wedding. I wish I could have gone to theirs. I know there's a big age difference, but
Yeah.
I just love them so much. I really do.
Father Larry was the first one to see Eli. I was the second.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I've annoyed them a lot growing up, and I'll ask them when they're here. But I've loved them so much. I've always admired their relationship,
Yeah.
and I know that they're compadres to so many people at our church, so
They are.
many, and they're godparents to so
There's so
many
many.
married couples. I mean, that's just a testament of them and the
And
way
the
that
beauty
they are.
that they bring.
Like how you said, and they're just like, this is us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is reality. There's something wholesome about reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
a world that's like, no, perfect. We find comfort in reality.
Yeah.
We really do.
And that perfect is for people that don't even know us or care about us.
Yes. Very true.
Yeah. So interesting. Kayla, we can talk for hours.
We really could.
And but I
It'd
don't
be like
I want
a-
you to go back to your babies.
A Mexican party. Bye. Oh, wait. This, and then bye.
Oh
this,
yeah,
this,
and then
this,
compadre.
right? Honestly.
Yeah, and but oh man, I'm definitely gonna have you back on, and
Please do. This is fun.
This is so much fun, and whenever you want, first of all, start the podcast.
Eventually.
Yeah,
I don't think it's my season.
yeah. Well, whenever it is, don't hesitate, and if you don't know what you're doing, or
I think bread making is my season right now.
oh, it's so good when you're cooking another batch.
I have a lot of orders for Thanksgiving week. I make them
Okay.
every week, but it's just I don't take orders if I can't that week. I've kind of realized that's
Okay.
where I need to set a boundary.
So don't shout you out because you're
No,
pretty
no.
booked.
Shout me out. It's
Okay.
just people message me like, "Can I get a bread this week?" And then I'll just say like, "I'm booked fully for orders this
Yeah.
week, but like I could take you next week." Like that's just what I tell them, and usually like they're always like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a situation where they're like, "No, I wanted it this week." You know.
Really? Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been enjoying it.
See-
It fits into my schedule.
You're a young mother, a young wife, a small business owner with a bachelor's degree.
Yeah,
It can be done.
it can be done.
So I'll take a jalapeno cheddar whenever you
Next
can.
time?
Yeah.
I'll
when-
look at my calendar. I'll put
Yeah.
you in. I promise.
Well, thank you so much, Kayla.
Thank you,
It is
Diego.
called the Pray About It podcast. Let's go ahead and
Okay.
finish with a prayer.
That sounds perfect.
All right. In the name of the
Father.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for everything that you give us, for all these small blessings and these huge blessings like children and the great people that come into our lives. We ask that you continue to bless us and help us grow deeper in love with you, so that through you using us as instruments, we can bring people closer to you. Please continue to give us the strength that we need to follow and love you and be loving towards one another. And we thank you for everything. And Mother Mary, thank you for being such an amazing mom to us. Thank you for always worrying about us and caring for us and praying for us and leading us to Christ. We love you so much. Please always keep us in your prayer. We pray this in Jesus' name with the intercession of Mary. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.